Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to offer my amendment that utilizes the Holman Rule to reduce the salary of EPA Administrator Michael Regan to $1. On his watch, Administrator Regan has used the EPA to impose Green New Deal policies such as electric appliance and EV mandates, power plant closures, strict regulations on American energy production, and environmental justice initiatives. On Michael Regan's watch, the EPA has prioritized DEI over domestic energy, climate change over consumers, and EVs over our great economy. In a hearing with the Oversight and Accountability Committee, he was unaware that the EPA has never formally been authorized by Congress, something that someone who oversees an agency should know. If the body of government who is directed to create such agencies has never authorized them, well, then we kind of have a problem. But however, this hasn't stopped him from jeopardizing American energy security, overloading America's power grid, and raising costs for all American consumers and businesses. In fact, in March of last year, the EPA Twitter account posted, quote, "As a bicultural, bilingual, and bisexual woman, Iris deeply empathizes with communities at the intersection of overlapping crisis of injustice, hashtag climate change, and environmental racism," end quote. We cannot have the head of the Environmental Protection Agency claiming that even the environment is racist. This is, another season of all the questions are made up and none of the points matter. The American people want their government to work for them, not against them. This administration's Green New Deal regulations are increasing regulatory costs at a rate of $617 billion per year of rulemaking. Is that clear? $617 billion in just rulemaking alone. This isn't a bill that Congress is passing. It's just rulemaking by the agency itself. And if they continue at the Obama administration's regulatory pace, this will cost American families $60,000. It's time to put an end to governing by the Green New Deal, which is very much a scam. And the first step is to get rid of Administrator Regan. I urge the passage of this important amendment. And with that, Madam Chair, I reserve.
The gentlewoman from Colorado reserves. Any member wish?
Madam Chairman.
What purpose did the gentleman from
claim
Idaho
time in opposition to the amendment?
Oh, Jesus. The gentleman's recognized for 5 minutes.
I see that we're going to have several Holman rules coming up. When the Holman Rule was originally put in place years ago, it was meant to identify people who had committed crimes, and we've had some of those that have been fired. It wasn't meant to identify people who had policy differences. Those are what elections are about. Anybody who suggested that on this side of the aisle that we were going to elect the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, that the policies that they enacted were going to be things we supported, I think we're living in a different world. They're enacting their policy. Instead of doing these types of amendments, and I've opposed every one of them except one, instead of doing these types of amendments, what we need to do is, if we oppose them, get out and elect another president to get the job done. This doesn't do anything. If you could tell me that they had committed some crime, something that they didn't have the authority to do, then maybe we'd consider it. But I noticed on all of these things, there's an awful lot of Holman amendments that are going to be, and I'm only going to speak on one of them. Same message goes out for all of them. You don't do this Because, frankly, I don't think we have the authority to do it, even though the rule of the House says we do. But they are appointed and they are confirmed by the United States Senate. I don't think we have, and this is essentially firing. When you reduce the salary to $1, you're firing the individual. I don't think we have that authority. So unless you can show me that they have done something illegal, high crimes or misdemeanors, something like that, I think this is silly. But we're going to have more of them. That's okay. I just wanted to speak on one of them because I don't want to repeat myself over and over and over again. But it gives the sponsors of these amendments sometimes to complain about what the administration is doing, and that's okay. But I oppose the amendment and yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Idaho yields back. The gentlewoman from Colorado has 2 minutes remaining, and she's recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate my colleague, Mr. Simpson here, who is chair of a subcommittee and approps the Interior Appropriations Subcommittee. I believe that we absolutely have the authority to exercise the Holman Rule. Congress, the House of Representatives, we are a majority rule self-governing body. We have rules that we vote on to put in place that allows us to govern and governs ourselves as members of Congress. We have the Holman Rule to have a check on unelected bureaucrats. I agree with my colleague that elections do matter, that we do need to get out and vote for the best candidate. However, my constituents in Colorado do not have the opportunity to vote for these unelected bureaucrats who are happy to stay in their position and wait out a majority of their disliking, and it is very difficult to remove them. And my colleague is also correct in saying this is essentially a way of firing these unelected bureaucrats who are abusing their position, who are using their power, their job and their position to hurt American citizens when they are creating rulemaking that is $17 billion per year and increasing the household costs of families by $60,000. I don't care if that's technically illegal or legal. It is immoral and it is unjust and it is unsustainable. So I stand by my amendment to reduce the salary of the EPA director, Mr. Regan, to $1, to exercise our House rule that we have voted on, that Mr. Simpson even voted on in the rules package of January of 2023, and hold this unelected bureaucrat accountable. I am here to represent my constituents and save the American taxpayer money. Madam Chair, I yield.
The gentlewoman's time has